My name is Frances Quinlan. I sing and play guitar in the band Hopalong, and we are touring Europe currently for the very first time with the Sidekicks. Hopalong started in 2004. It was my senior year of high school. I used to play with one of my brothers, not Mark, but my brother Andrew. I have two brothers, and I knew when I was going to college that we wouldn't really be able to play together anymore, so I started my own project before I left for college, and it was a longer name that nobody could pronounce, and I played like freak folk kind of stuff solo until my senior year of college, and then my brother Mark was in a band that was breaking up, and I never wanted to really play solo. I always wanted to play in a band. I just couldn't find anybody that I really wanted to play with, but Mark's band was breaking up, and then we just decided to start playing together, and it was pretty crazy because our tastes are so divergent, just so different, and it ended up making, I think, a pretty interesting sound. And then Tyler joined a couple years after the band formed. We formed in 2008, and then Tyler joined in 2009, end of 2009. So that's pretty much how it started, and we've been going ever since. Made a record last year, or put it out last year. But yeah, Get Disowned was recorded in we started recording in the spring of 2010 with Joe Reinhart from Algernon Cadwallader, and we knew we wanted to make that record with him because I had talked to Joe on many occasions, and I really felt like we were on a pretty similar wavelength, and we played a lot of shows together, our band and his band. And actually, when I was playing by myself, I played a show with Algernon Cadwallader in a basement in 2006, so I've known of that band for a long time. Sadly, they broke up last year, but good news, Tank had his baby a few days ago. It's pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, we're very close with Algernon Cadwallader. I wanted to make sure we also made the record with a friend that understood us. Whenever I hear about people making records with strangers, that's just so, it just gives me so much anxiety, the idea of coming to somebody with these very not even personal, but just showing your ideas to somebody is a very vulnerable thing, and you want that to be a person that you trust, that will do thoughtful work, on your record. And Joe absolutely is a really thoughtful, he's an artist, absolutely. And I also, Peter from Algernon and I are dating, and he's on the record as well, and we made it in this warehouse, and it was really cool to a lot of hands kind of came in working on that record. We had a lot of friends come in and just add their voices, and one of our friends plays cello, Nick Bachrath played cello and some slide guitar, but that was an incredible experience, and it'll never happen again. We made it in 2 years because Joe was still in Algernon, and they were touring a lot, and they recorded their last record, Parrot Flies, while we were working on our record. They started it in 2010 and finished it in 2011 and went on tour with it. So we could only work on our stuff when there was time. So that's why it took 2 years to come out. But it worked out. We accidentally built up a buzz around it, I guess, by telling people it was going to come out in 2011, which absolutely didn't happen. And yeah, it would get incredibly, the weather would be crazy. It would be in the winter it's really cold at the warehouse. In the summer it's really hot. So we worked on it in pretty harsh temperature conditions, which is good because it keeps you in the studio where there's air conditioning. But it was intense and crazy, but excellent, worthwhile. Yeah, when you're trapped in a studio for 4 days, you just go crazy. You just decide oh, why don't we just grab this tape recorder and I'll beatbox, and why don't we run into this room and play this toy organ, and why don't we run in here and we'll take this Bollywood soundtrack piece, this clip that's 3 seconds long, and yeah, there was one time where Joe and I were just like, I remember we were drinking beer and just running around the warehouse with a tape recorder, just recording stuff like on the fly, just ideas that we came up with like in the moment. And I mean, that's the great thing about having so much time. We had so much time, but we didn't, because you know, Joe was in a band and they had to leave in a few days, and then we'd have to wait a month to record again, or you know, somebody had work or whatever. So there was this weird like urgency with like limitless possibilities. It was like a perfect mixture for making a crazy sound. Just layers and layers of craziness. There was one time where on Kids on the Boardwalk, Joe, you know, Joe's a guitar man. I mean, he's like a genius when it comes to the guitar, and I'm not. I mean, I know what I basically want, but after that I'm not sure. And there was one night, it was like 2 a.m, and Joe said, hey, just give me a few minutes and I'm gonna figure out this guitar part. And it ended up being like 4 a.m, and I'm just like watching him like this, and he like records 4 different parts. I didn't get to hear all of them like together yet, and then he played it and it was just like blew me away. Like, it was just one of those moments where I was like, that's why you're making this record. Like, and it was so cool. So there were some magical evenings, and there's one evening where we were jamming, and we were still, I mean, a lot of those songs were written in the studio. Like Some Grace was written, I wrote it in the kitchen on the guitar while somebody else was tracking something or getting some sound. And then Get Disowned was like half written, the song Get Disowned, and we were jamming. It was like winter at night, and we were jamming the song out, and there was some box that said Meteor on it. It was like some product, some instrument product or something, I forget, but it said Meteor, and I thought of the line, Meteor, make me young, from that, just from being in the studio trapped. And anything is possible. It's so funny. Yeah, like I said, I just never intended to be a solo. Like, I enjoy folk music. I love Cat Stevens and Joni Mitchell and early Bob Dylan, as well as the full band stuff. But in terms of sound, I mean, when I made my first solo album, it's in no way like just a guitar by itself. It's got a ton of stuff going on. I've always wanted to create like a big sound, a full sound. And you could certainly, I mean, you could make you know, there's certainly amazing acoustic songs out there. I just don't think I write songs that are usually meant to be played that way. I think a lot of what I write is meant to be played with other instruments. And, you know, it's great having people to collaborate with. I mean, working with Mark has really opened up, and Tyler, working with those guys has really opened up so many possibilities within a song. It's very scary. I mean, it's really scary to bring you know, almost fully formed song to other people and say like, all right, let's turn this into something and see it change. But it always ends up being this exciting, bigger thing, bigger idea, and that's what I love about being in a band, is taking a small idea and making it a more fully formed, more multi-dimensional space.